And I said to the representatives of Gaddafi that before he should do anything else, he should stop funding the IRA, which might be why I never got the meeting.
You wanted him to fund you instead?
Yes.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the most insulting incidents in Question Time history.
I don't regard the BBC as auntie. I regard the BBC as part of overall a thoroughly unpleasant, ultra-leftist establishment.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 10. Ireland/Ireland.
Another point I'm going to make is the DUP and the EU seem to be really levering the Ireland backstop thing for the whole of Brexit.
Few political issues are as complicated and historically violent as the unification of Ireland. Since the 1920s, Ireland has been split into two, a divide that led to the Troubles, a decades-long conflict. It's so complex, you probably shouldn't chime in without being fully educated on the issue.
There's thousands of issues, I'm sure, to do with Brexit, but it's always to do with the Good Friday Agreement, the DUP, the Northern Ireland backstop.
Here, we have a perfect example of why. One audience member appeared on Question Time, then said it would be ideal to unify the two, simply because Ireland sounds like Ireland.
Why doesn't it, it's going to sound crazy, but Ireland being referred to as Ireland, the island of Ireland, why don't we try and just get that as an island again, and then we can carry on with our own thing.
We should have expected a statement as foolish as this the moment he began praising Boris Johnson.
I'd just like to say something that I never thought I'd leave my mouth, which is I think Boris Johnson's done a brilliant job with going over there.
Number 9. Farage talking nonsense.
The last Labour government deported people who came here illegally in their tens of thousands.
But do you want to respond to Sam's point?
Britain's most divisive politician right now is debatably Nigel Farage, leader of the Reform Party. He's a populist whose primary policy is preventing illegal immigration. This meant there were quite a few audience members ready to give him a piece of their mind.
I'm making a serious point here, Nigel. I do think the language that Donald Trump used about immigrants, they were all vermin. They were all poisoning our blood. That was straight out.
That is outrageous, Alistair, and you know it.
One brought up with him the fact that he spends every issue to make immigrants the cause. This was part of an argument where they claimed Farage was treating non-British individuals unfairly. Farage got upset when someone pointed out the parallels between Farage's ideology and what happened in 30s Germany.
And don't forget, because those populist policies in the 30s, a certain Adolf Hitler was elected. And if we follow the same rhetoric, the same blaming of migrants, we will go in the same way.
Number 8. Racist woman.
What you're saying here, 68 million people now live in England, going up, UN estimates. At what stage does the panel and people think this country has had enough? That we should close the borders, completely close the borders.
It's common for an audience member to share an opinion others disagree with. This woman stuck out in particular, however, as she was especially racist. She believed the country was suffering an overpopulation problem and that it was ruining our nation.
You've got people flooding into this country that cannot speak English. I've come from London. In the National Health Service, everything's written in different languages. How much is that costing?
Depressingly, she believed the main issue with the NHS was that they had signs in more than one language. She got so outraged, Bruce had to step in and ask her to let them respond. When met with facts from the panel, she simply replied rubbish, rather than providing reliable evidence for her controversial beliefs. Thankfully, they didn't hand the microphone back to her after that one.
Why haven't they got points set up in the hospitals and you pay like you do in every other country you go to? You wouldn't turn up in America and be allowed to go for free.
Let's let the panel answer some of those points. Strongly made.
Number 7. Joey Barton.
And the man described as football's philosopher king, Joey Barton.
If you're not into football, you're probably unfamiliar with the manager and ex-player Joey Barton. For some obscure reason, he was invited onto Question Time, despite sports having little to do with politics. This turned out to be a mistake when he said something wildly misogynistic.
So if I'm somewhere and there was 4 really ugly girls, I'm thinking, well,
She's
Oh
not
dear,
the
oh
worst.
dear.
Because that's all you are. That's all you are to us. That's all you are.
This is because the best metaphor for political parties he could come up with involved comparing the parties to ugly girls. On the bright side, UKIP party member Louise Bors was quick with a comeback. Later on, it was brought up by an audience member, and he thankfully apologised, but that didn't undo the damage.
That's
he
all you are.
basically fulfils the mission, doesn't he, that footballers' brains are in their feet?
Well,
because he's absolutely proved that to me tonight.
well,
what
maybe
an
they do.
offensive thing to say, Mr. Barton.
Okay, well.
Number 6. Laurence Fox.
Actor and musician, best known for his leading role as DC Hathaway in the detective drama Lewis, Laurence Fox.
It's not often someone will appear on this show, then get slammed as a disgrace to all actors. This is because the topic of whether or not Meghan Markle is the victim of racism came up. If you're unfamiliar with Fox, this is a man with far-right political beliefs who has been in a whole bunch of legal bother.
Let's be really clear about what this is. Let's call it by its name. It's racism. She's a black woman and she has been torn to pieces.
You can't.
She has been torn to pieces.
It's not racism.
It absolutely
is. We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe.
The topic was discussed for quite a while, with Fox digging himself a deeper and deeper hole as it continued. Following the incident, Equity's Minority Ethnic Committee released a statement. They said they were extremely disturbed at how Fox had been invited onto the panel to spread his offensive beliefs.
And I know that Britain is a wonderful country, and I'm second to no one in my love of my country, but it is, you know, loving your country doesn't mean that you say there is no racism in the country and there are no issues in the press.
Number 5. Katie Hopkins.
Katie Hopkins, do you think they should have been sacked, or have we lost our sense of humour about this kind of thing?
I think Sky Sports has completely lost its sense of humour. I think as a nation, potentially, we have lost our collective sense of humour.
When Hopkins was a fresh celebrity, not long after her appearance on The Apprentice, she was scandalously invited onto Question Time. Her opinions turned out to be so problematic, she has never been invited back. Hopkins claims women don't want equality and instead want to be given special treatment.
I think women actually don't want equal treatment. They couldn't handle it if they got it, quite a number of them. It's a tough world out there.
Then, she goes on to explain that we should be paid based on performance, not gender. Hopkins fails to realise the contradiction of the latter point being feminist. Throughout the entire rant, you can see Edwina Currie, a former MP under Thatcher, giving her the evil eye.
Do we want a world that's completely void of colour?
Thankfully, they never invited her back on, likely because they thought she was too offensive.
I think what women need to realise is that you have to toughen up. We can't ask for equal pay. You have to be paid on performance, and you have to be paid for the results you deliver.
Number 4. Immigration rant.
Listen, I've applied for 100 jobs in the railway. 100 jobs. I don't even get an interview no more. In the old days, at least you get a letter.
The topic of immigration has been a sensitive one in Britain for decades now. Here, we see an example of a man unreasonably angry about the issue. The audience member complains about how he believes white people are a minority in the UK.
I have to go down today and see an immigrant telling me that well, that's the truth. Well, that's the truth. I went down to John Smith's house today and an immigrant tells me that I cannot live here.
This shows he's either being fed misinformation or doesn't understand what the word minority means. In response, the panel member David Aronovich points out the abhorrent flaws in his beliefs. This reality check proves too much for him to handle, so he storms off the show in a rage, like a child not getting their own way.
Well, I've got nowhere to live. I need to go and find somewhere to live. All right. Yeah, I will. Tonight.
Number 3. Priti Patel.
So on a purely practical basis, whatever you think it says about the civilised nature of your society or not, I think it would be incredibly dangerous to have capital punishment back.
One of the most infamous incidents on the series was when comedian and journalist Ian Hislop clashed with Priti Patel. This was over the issue of capital punishment, something you'd expect most people in the UK to be against. Patel argued that it would be an effective deterrent, even if a few innocent lives were lost.
Are you influenced at all by that argument of miscarriages of justice?
No disrespecting him, but I'm not, on the basis that I think, this is really about our criminal justice system, actually.
Hislop didn't hesitate to comment on the immorality of such an idea. Many believed it would be the end of Patel's career, but over a decade later, and she was made the shadow foreign secretary for the Conservative Party.
This is about having deterrence. If you have strong deterrence of that
it's not
nature
a deterrent
as well.
Killing the wrong people.
Well, no, capital punishment would act as a deterrent.
Number 2. Exterminate.
I think it's really disappointing that we're having yet another hand-wringing debate without a single mention of the concept of punishment. And I know...
Here, we see a man going from being universally supported to being opposed in record time. He starts by explaining his issues with knife crime, which gets a few rounds of applause. Then, it all goes downhill when he starts taking inspiration from Daleks.
And don't forget, it is a particular breed of human being that can repeatedly put a knife into another person. And those people should be dealt with like the cancer they are, and they should be exterminated.
The man strongly believes extermination is the solution to knife crime. Pretty much everyone in the studio and online agreed he went way too far. The panel was so bewildered they chose to almost entirely ignore his extermination comment. It's likely the handful of claps went straight to his head, motivating him to go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds.
The gentleman back there just before hit the nail right on the head.
He said they should be exterminated.
No, not that point, not that point. The harshest.
Number 1. Nick Griffin.
The leader of the British National Party, Nick Griffin.
Many heads were raised when the far-right politician Griffin was invited onto Question Time. It was met with major protests, as it was concerning that the BBC would give a platform to such a hateful man. They soon learned to regret their decision when he started denying the Holocaust.
Denying the Holocaust, Francis. Did you deny the Holocaust?
I
Yes,
do not
you
have
did.
a conviction for Holocaust denial.
But you did deny it. Why are you smiling? It's not a particularly amusing issue.
Not only that, but he did so with a big grin on his face, which David Dimbleby called him out on. The ex-BNP chairman disgustingly compared the Holocaust to flat earth theories. The controversy surrounding the episode made it one of the most watched episodes of the show ever, with over 8 million viewers.
So Winston Churchill put everything on the line so that my ancestors wouldn't get, slaughtered in the concentration camps. But here sits a man who says that that's a myth, just like a flat world was a myth. How could you say that? How could you?
Were there any moments you found upsetting that we forgot to include? Let us know in the comments section.